The truth is, most men sleepwalk through the talking stage. They see it as casual, as fun, as just a stepping stone before things get serious. But what they fail to realize is this: the talking stage is where the seeds of either a strong marriage or a painful divorce are planted. Every conversation, every overlooked detail, every blind spot shapes the foundation of the relationship. Men often ignore the subtle red flags, dismiss the quiet warnings, and confuse temporary attraction with long-term compatibility. And years later, when the marriage begins to crumble, they call it unexpected. But it wasn't. The signs were there from the very beginning. The talking stage isn't just small talk. It's where you see how she handles conflict, how she views loyalty, how she thinks about money, respect, and responsibility. These aren't background details. They're the blueprint of your future together. Ignore them, and you're not building a home. You're building a ticking time bomb. By the end of this video, you'll understand the most critical things men disregard during the talking stage. The very mistakes that quietly set the stage for divorce. And once you see them, you'll never unsee them. 1. Overlooking values and core beliefs. One of the biggest mistakes men make in the talking stage is ignoring the deeper values that shape a woman's life. At first, it feels easy to dismiss these things. Religion, money habits, family expectations, even views on raising children. Many men focus so much on attraction, charm, and keeping the energy fun that they avoid the heavy conversations. But here's the truth. What you choose to ignore now will come back to demand payment later. Values are not small details you can brush aside. They're the foundation of every relationship. If she sees money as something to spend freely, while you see it as something to protect, that clash won't magically disappear after marriage. It will grow louder with every bill, every purchase, every financial decision. If she believes family comes before everything, while you believe in creating boundaries with relatives, that difference will eventually turn into resentment and fights you can't control. Think about it. How many couples do you know who looked perfect on the outside, only to fall apart later because they realized they were never truly aligned at the core? It's because values don't bend as easily as people think. The talking stage is the only chance you have to uncover these truths before making a lifelong commitment. Here's the dangerous part. Most men notice subtle signs that her values don't match theirs, but they push those red flags aside. Why? Because they're blinded by chemistry. They tell themselves, she'll change after marriage, or love will fix it. But love doesn't fix what's rooted in a person's identity. It only exposes it further. The talking stage isn't just about enjoying the thrill of getting to know someone. It's a test. If you fail to pay attention to her values now, don't be surprised when the very same differences you ignored become the cracks that lead to divorce later. 2. Ignoring how she handles conflict. In the talking stage, everything feels smooth. The dates are fun, the conversations flow, and disagreements are rare. But here's the truth men don't want to admit. The way a woman handles small conflicts early on is the clearest preview of how she'll handle big conflicts in marriage. Ignoring that pattern is like closing your eyes while driving toward a cliff. Arguments will happen, whether it's about where to eat, how often you text, or who pays for what. Pay attention to how she reacts. Does she get defensive over small things? Does she shut down and give you the silent treatment? Or does she try to understand and resolve the issue? These early reactions reveal her emotional maturity and her approach to problem solving. Now imagine this on a larger scale. If she avoids accountability during a minor disagreement, what happens when the issue is about finances, family, or fidelity? If she explodes over something small, what happens when the pressure of real life enters the marriage? Patterns don't disappear after the wedding ring, they magnify. too many men convince themselves that her dramatic reactions are just cute quirks or signs of passion. But what feels exciting in the talking stage quickly becomes exhausting in a marriage. The silent treatment you brushed off in the beginning becomes weeks of tension later. The temper tantrums you laughed about turn into screaming matches you can't control. The truth is simple. Marriage isn't built on how well you get along when things are easy. It's built on how well you handle each other when things get hard. And if you choose to ignore how she handles conflict in the early stages, you're not walking into marriage blind. You're walking in with warnings you decided to disregard. 3. Confusing chemistry for compatibility. In the talking stage, chemistry feels like fireworks. The spark is strong, the attraction is undeniable, and every moment together feels charged. Men often mistake this intensity for something deeper, compatibility. But that's where most start walking into the trap that leads to divorce later. Chemistry is instant, emotional, and intoxicating. Compatibility is slow, steady, and proven over time. The problem is, men tend to overvalue the spark and undervalue the substance. They think, if the passion is this strong now, it must last forever. But passion alone has never carried a marriage. What keeps two people together isn't the thrill of the chase. It's whether their values, goals, and lifestyles align once the excitement fades. For example, you might love how adventurous she is during the talking stage. She's spontaneous, fun, and unpredictable. It feels refreshing. But years into a marriage, when you want stability, savings, and a plan for the future, that same unpredictability becomes a source of constant conflict. What once attracted you becomes the very thing that tears the relationship apart. The spark will fade. That's inevitable. What stays is whether you actually function well as a team when life gets boring, stressful, or routine. But too many men rush past the boring questions in the talking stage. They never ask themselves, do our long-term visions align? Does she share the same views on money, kids, lifestyle, or responsibility? Or are we just addicted to the thrill right now? When chemistry is mistaken for compatibility, marriage becomes a rude awakening. The fire burns bright in the beginning, but without a foundation of shared values, it burns out quickly. And when it does, you realize you were never truly partners. You were just temporary flames. 4. Overlooking how she treats others. During the talking stage, men often focus only on how she treats them. She's sweet, attentive, maybe even overly affectionate. It feels good, and it blinds you. But what many men disregard is how she treats the people around her. The waiter at a restaurant, her friends, her family, even strangers. That's where her true nature shows. Respect isn't selective. Kindness isn't supposed to be a performance. If she only extends warmth when she wants something from you but shows contempt, impatience, or arrogance toward others, that's not just a red flag. It's a preview of your future. The way she talks to her parents, the way she speaks about her friends behind their backs, or the way she dismisses people she thinks are beneath her. All of this is who she really is. At first, you may dismiss it. You might think, well, she doesn't treat me like that. But people eventually stop performing. The mask slips. The way she treats the powerless or the people she doesn't need will eventually be the way she treats you once the novelty wears off. And in marriage, the novelty always wears off. Imagine this. She's charming when you're dating, but she's constantly disrespectful to service staff. You ignore it, thinking it's harmless. Fast forward to marriage, and now that same attitude is directed at you during arguments, at your family gatherings, or even in front of your children. Suddenly, the small things you brushed aside in the talking stage become unbearable. Men who overlook this end up shocked when the person they married seems to have changed. The truth is, she didn't change. You just didn't pay attention to the signs. Marriage doesn't transform people. It amplifies who they already are. And if you fail to see it early on, you'll spend years trying to fix a problem you could have avoided by simply observing more carefully. 5. Ignoring financial attitudes and habits. Money is one of the leading causes of divorce. Yet during the talking stage, men rarely dig deep into how a woman actually views and handles it. They get distracted by charm, chemistry, and appearances, while financial habits, arguably one of the biggest predictors of long-term stability, slip under the radar. Some men think it's unromantic to bring up money early. They don't ask questions about spending habits, savings, debt, or financial goals because they don't want to seem calculating. But here's the truth. Ignoring it now means you'll pay for it later, literally. If she's reckless with credit cards, always chasing luxury she can't afford, or sees your money as her backup plan, marriage will magnify that problem until it destroys you. Think about it. In the talking stage, she insists on always going to expensive spots, never saves a dime, and constantly talks about manifesting a lifestyle without putting in the work. You overlook it because you're caught up in attraction, or worse, you want to impress her by picking up every tab. Then marriage comes, and suddenly you're arguing over bills, debts you didn't know about, or her habit of living way above her means. What you ignored becomes the battle you fight every single month. It works both ways too. If she's financially disciplined, if she respects money, if she's willing to build instead of drain, that's a strong indicator of long-term compatibility. Marriage is a partnership, and partnership without financial alignment is chaos waiting to explode. The talking stage isn't just about romance, it's about evaluation. If you don't pay attention to her financial mindset early on, you might end up in a marriage where love isn't what's tested most. Your bank account is. And no amount of chemistry will save you when money turns into a battlefield. 6. Failing to notice emotional stability. Men often mistake beauty, charm, and passion for compatibility, but they forget to assess the most important trait of all, emotional stability. In the talking stage, this mistake hides behind excitement. She's fun, unpredictable, maybe even fiery. At first, it feels thrilling, but what men ignore is whether that fire is passion or instability waiting to burn down the relationship. Emotional stability shows in the small moments. Does she know how to handle stress, or does she spiral into chaos over the smallest inconvenience? Can she argue without exploding, or does every disagreement turn into a dramatic storm? Does she take responsibility when she's wrong, or does she deflect, twist the story, and make you the villain every time? These aren't little quirks. They are early warnings of the emotional battlefield you'll live on if you marry her. Many men get trapped by thinking, she'll calm down after marriage. No. Marriage doesn't fix instability, it magnifies it. The dating mask eventually slips, and what you're left with is the real person behind it. If she's emotionally volatile, you'll live in a constant cycle of fights, silent treatments, or walking on eggshells in your own home. That's not marriage. It's a war zone. Now imagine this. During the talking stage, she storms out after small arguments, blocks you for hours, or threatens to end things just to get her way. You laugh it off as mood swings. Years later, in marriage, those same behaviors escalate into toxic patterns that drain you mentally and emotionally. Divorce often comes not because love disappeared, but because emotional chaos made peace impossible. The truth is simple. Stability isn't optional. If she can't regulate her emotions, resolve conflict with maturity, and handle pressure without collapsing, you're not entering a partnership. You're volunteering for disaster. The truth is, most divorces don't suddenly happen. They're built